In the scorching summer heat of 1071, on the vast sun-baked plains of eastern Anatolia, a silence hung in the air. Deep, heavy, almost sacred. This silence was not peace. It was the breath the world takes before history changes forever. Across the horizon, the land shimmered beneath the rising sun, as if even the earth itself understood the weight of the day to come. Two worlds, two empires, two destinies were moving toward one another, and nothing could stop their collision. To the west stood the Byzantine Empire, ancient, proud, yet weakened by years of internal turmoil, political betrayals, and endless court conspiracies. Its armies had once marched across continents. Now they marched with uncertainty. Emperor Romanos IV Diogenes believed that only a decisive victory could restore the empire's fading glory. And so he gathered a massive army. Greeks, Armenians, Georgians, Franks, Norman mercenaries, Pechenegs, Uzis, an enormous but fragile coalition bound not by loyalty, but by necessity. They marched into the heart of Anatolia, unaware that they were stepping into the jaws of a master to wage a grand war against Byzantium. Even days before the battle, he sent envoys seeking peace. But fate, ambition, and the stubborn pride of empires had a different plan. The armies were now on a path that neither could escape. As the Byzantine forces approached Malazgirt, they believed they were facing a small that they were stepping into the jaws of a master tactician. To the east rose the young yet unstoppable power of the great Seljuk Empire. Its cavalry moved like the wind, its arrows fell like rain. And at its head rode Sultan Arslan, calm, strategic, humble before God, and feared by his enemies. His intention had never Seljuk detachment. But Seljuk scouts watched them from every ridge, every shadow. Arslan moved swiftly, his riders crossing miles of rugged terrain with effortless precision. Both armies camped within striking distance, separated by little more than the night. When darkness settled over the plains, the Seljuk camp glowed with thousands of flickering torches. Riders drifted silently between the tents, the rhythmic beat of distant war drums echoing faintly across the fields. It was a calm born of discipline, of confidence in the tactics perfected over generations. In the Byzantine camp, however, tension spread like smoke. Officers argued, mercenaries complained over unpaid wages. Andronikos Doukas, a man consumed by bitterness toward Emperor Romanos, whispered treachery into receptive ears. Romanos walked through his camp, the weight of his empire heavy on his shoulders. He knew the battle ahead would define not just his reign, but the fate of Byzantium itself. Meanwhile, in his humble tent, Arslan knelt in prayer, wearing simple white garments. White not for ceremony, but symbolic of readiness for martyrdom or triumph. His commanders awaited his word, knowing the sun would rise on a day spoken of for centuries. When dawn broke, the sky was painted gold, and the plains of Malazgirt stretched wide like an open stage. The Byzantines formed their heavy infantry lines, shields gleaming under the sun, cavalry poised behind them. Across the field, Seljuk riders emerged like an apparition, silent, fluid, as if rising from the dust itself. With a single command, the battle began. The first arrows flew, slicing through the air with a whistle. Seljuk archers on horseback advanced swiftly, releasing volley after volley before turning back in perfect formation. The Byzantines pressed forward, confident in their armor and numbers. But every step they took played into Arslan's design. The Seljuks retreated deliberately, drawing the Byzantine lines deeper and deeper into the plains, a deceptive dance perfected by the Turkic warriors of the steppe. Battle cries echoed across the field. Dust rose in thick clouds. The clashing of iron and the thunder of hooves blended into a single, relentless roar. Romanos believed he was pushing the Seljuks back. In truth, he was walking directly into their trap. As the sun climbed high, the Seljuks continued their calculated withdrawal. Byzantine formations stretched thin. Units became disjointed. Communication faltered. Mercenary bands began to lose discipline. Still, Romanos pressed forward, convinced victory was within his grasp. But Arslan had been waiting for one moment, the moment the Byzantine army overextended itself. And then it came. As the sun dipped toward the horizon, the Seljuk war horn sounded. a deep, earth-shaking note that echoed across the battlefield. Suddenly, the retreating Seljuk cavalry turned sharply. Their horses pivoted with a burst of speed. The wings of their formation expanded outward like the unfurling of a vast crescent. The legendary crescent maneuver, the Hilal tactic, was now fully unleashed. From both flanks, Seljuk riders surged inward with terrifying speed. Arrows poured down like a storm. The Byzantines, now surrounded, fought desperately, but were overwhelmed by the precision and speed of the Seljuks. Panic spread. Lines collapsed. Chaos devoured order. And then came the betrayal. General Andronikos Doukas, holding the Byzantine reserves, refused to reinforce Romanos. Instead, driven by ambition and hatred, he commanded a full retreat, abandoning the emperor and the main army to their fate. As the reserve forces fled the field, the Byzantines found themselves encircled, trapped, and leaderless. Night fell over a battlefield soaked in dust and blood. Romanos, wounded yet unbroken, continued to fight amid the collapsing lines. But resistance was futile. Seljuk riders closed in, and the emperor was captured. One of the very few times in history the Byzantine emperor fell into enemy hands alive. He was brought before Arslan, but instead of humiliation or cruelty, he was met with dignity. The Seljuk Sultan treated him as a guest, not a trophy. In their famous exchange, Arslan asked, "If I had been captured by you, what would you have done?" Romanos, weary and honest, replied, "Perhaps I would have killed you." Arslan, calm and composed, responded, "My intention is not to kill." He offered peace, respect, and terms that astonished the world. The next weeks would plunge Byzantium into deeper chaos, civil wars, conspiracies, and the slow collapse of its eastern borders. But the consequences of Malazgirt were far greater than any treaty. The defeat shattered Byzantine control over Anatolia. One by one, Turkish tribes, beyliks, and later full Seljuk settlements flowed into the region. Villages, towns, and cities transformed. The cultural, linguistic, and demographic identity of Anatolia shifted forever. The Battle of Malazgirt was not the bloodiest in history. It was not the largest, but it was one of the most transformative. A single day, a single battlefield, redefined an entire continent. The Seljuks proved that strategy and discipline could triumph over size and arrogance. Byzantium learned that internal betrayal can destroy even the mightiest empire. And the world saw how destiny can hinge on the courage of leaders and the choices made in moments of crisis. As the winds of Malazgirt swept across the quiet plains that night, they carried with them a message that would echo for centuries. The gates of Anatolia had opened, and they would never close again.